Hi, my name is James Adam Tucker, and for the past 35 years, I've been an actor, director, and editor right here in Hollywood. Today's topic I want to talk about is what's the best way to write a no-budget script. I made a video a few days ago about making low-budget movies, and if it was even worth your time in 2025. So that led me to start thinking about, okay, if people like it, and I noticed by your response that a lot of people viewed the video, and I got some responses from it, some few questions, which I'm happy to get. And I encourage anyone that has questions or anything that, please look in the description below and shoot me out an email. I love talking about this stuff, as you can imagine now if you've watched any of my videos. I can go on and on and on. But what I did today, a little bit different, was I have a little prompt here for myself to stay on topic. Now, I don't work from a script. I don't work from index cards or notes, as you can tell if you watched any of my videos, and sometimes I go off track. But that's one of the reasons I think I enjoy this, doing these videos, because I can talk. And people who want to watch it can watch it. And people who aren't interested in what I'm saying, they can just watch something else. So that's one of the reasons I like to focus on that. I'm going to try to focus today on the best way to write your no-budget feature film script. Now, what I thought about was, okay, don't talk in hypotheticals. I want to talk about a project that I've had in development, a no-budget feature. It started out as a no-budget feature, but that's why it's stuck in development. My brother, he lives on the East Coast, and he's owned a deli for the past, closing in on maybe 20 years. He's had a small deli in Richmond, Virginia. And from the day one when he bought it, the first thing I said to him, and he knew it because he's acted in some of my movies, I said, this is going to be a great location. I'm going to start thinking of a script for it. And that's one of the ways that you can think about, or you should think about, a no-budget project. You want to always look at the resources that you have available. Something that is interesting, something that I call, when I talk to people, when I talk to writers or fellow filmmakers about my project or their project, and I know they don't have a budget, a really big budget to get everything they would dream of if they could write any script they wanted. I said, look at your resources. Write a story about something that you have access to. And I don't mean access as far as, you can go in and someone's going to let you shoot for an hour or so. I mean real access that you can take the time you need to make a good project. I've made a number of low budget films over the years. And one thing that I have a partner who I work with, and he's a co-partner for producing. And we've created a number of projects together. He's on the East Coast, so he always has access to locations. Out here in Los Angeles, in California, maybe if you go up to Northern California, or you go anywhere out of the far out of the LA area, you might have access to other locations that are more reasonable or even free. But in other states, I find that you can find resources for locations. It's unbelievable. And that's why I've chose over the years to shoot most of my projects outside of California. Now, I've shot a number here, but the ones that I have more success with, and the ones that have what I call production value, even on a no budget, is something that you can really get. So that's why you want to look at what your resources are, what you have access to, and I mean real access, that you focus in on a script, a story. You ask yourself those questions. What if this happened? What if that happened? So that's the thing. I want to try to, again, I'm taking a quick cheat look at my notes here. We're talking about writing a no budget script. And I'm saying that for you, and I'm saying that for myself to get me back on track. So once you have a location that you have great access to, then you start asking yourself those writer questions. What if this happened? What if that happened? And you kind of develop a story based around a location you have access to. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a one location film, but those really lend themselves to a really good location. But if you have a principal, what I call a production value location, then you can branch out. Then you can branch out and you can get scenes that happen in the streets, scenes that happen at the park, scenes that happen at people's apartments, scenes that happen at people's homes, places where you can shoot for free. Over the years, I've come across what they call location miracles. I think I mentioned it in some earlier videos. One time we did a film, and we were able to get our sound guy. His uncle was the head manager of the Huntington Beach Hilton, and it's a really fabulous hotel. And we were able to get the presidential or whatever you call it, the bridal suite on the very top floor facing the ocean for free. Now, I'm not saying those are going to happen all the time, but things like that can happen. I always ask people that I'm working with, cast, crew, actors. I don't make it a stipulation if I hired them or not, but I ask them, do they have any access to locations that might work in this film? And don't get stuck to your script, because you never know what locations may come available. And do a little quick rewrite. I always pride myself in my ability to do quick rewrites. Still stay on the story, still stick with my beginning, middle, and end. But sometimes locations can easily shift. You don't want to get stuck where you're stuck in stone, where if this location falls through, that you have to stop shooting because you don't have another location to replace it. A little quick rewrite can change it. It saved me thousands and thousands of times. So again, this won't be a long one. You want to look for a location that you have complete access to. Like I said, a location that can add production value. And when you find one of those, you find something, feel free to ask. It's never going to hurt as many people as you ask. You tell people what you're doing. And again, if you're not here in Los Angeles area or California, you're going to have much, much, much more resources to do that. A thing that I've done in the past too, which I want to touch on a little bit about finding free locations or very minimal cost locations, is you can partner with businesses who want exposure, businesses who want to get their name out there. They're not gonna let you use it if you're derogatory about their business or showing stuff that their business is doing that's wrong. But if you for instance, I worked with an owner years ago who had a computer service bureau, and that's something that's way in the past. We basically don't have those that much anymore. But he had a computer service bureau, and we used that as the location. He was actually my production partner for that project. And so once we decided we were going to shoot in his location, then that was like, the central main location. We'd always see some of the main characters. Two of the main characters actually worked there. So I was able to, at my leisure, write scenes when they're in work, they're leaving work, they're going to work, they're at lunch at work, all kinds of scenes that added really great production value to this low budget movie, or no budget movie, to be honest. And it really rose the production value of that project because that location was fabulous. It looked like a set. I'm actually working too with a chiropractor where in the town I live in, and he has a fabulous chiropractic office. He's very successful. It's like you're in a small hospital, and he's open to me shooting there. So I actually have a script written, and I haven't moved forward with it because as I wrote the script, I started realizing I didn't want to waste the location because I'm going to need some of a budget. This won't be a no budget production. And sometimes that happens. I know earlier in this video, I mentioned my brother's deli in Richmond. And so what happened during that process, originally I started writing the script, no budget script, and the idea was very small. And then as I wrote the script slowly started to grow. And that happens sometimes. And it was a script that I was pretty proud of, and I'm still proud of it. I even brought in some writers to help me polish it. And it's been a number of years, and I haven't made that project yet, but it has started out as a no-budget project. And sometimes that happens, it balloons. What you can do if you don't want to put it on the shelf like I had to do, because I do need to have, somewhat of a crew. And I want to step up the game of actors. That's something I'll talk about later on in the week, about working with actors on a no-budget project. I'll probably touch on that next week. But what happened with the script based on my brother's deli was that as it grew, I started seeing, oh, this is pretty good. This could even, starting out as a no-budget film, and it actually morphed into a television pilot. So it got a lot bigger. So that's sitting on my shelf. The same thing with the chiropractor. His project, as I wrote it, I brought in a very talented writer. He helped me make it into something that was much larger than my no-budget script. And I decided, these two projects are going to have to wait until I get some funding together because I don't want to waste them. The scripts turned out really well. And sometimes you have to make those hard decisions. You have to make those hard calls. Not saying that you're going to shoot a bad script, because that's something I never do. And I never advise anybody these days to purposely make a script that's not ready or a script that's not up to snuff. Because if you don't like it and some of your close confidants read it and they decide, there's something wrong, it's kind of weak here, it's kind of weak there, don't make it until you have a good script that you're proud of, that you'd be proud to show anybody. It has a solid story. It has solid characters. And then you can cast it with actors who can bring life to those characters. So again, it is possible to write a script for a no-budget production. You have to, again, I used this line earlier, you have to know your limitations. Some of you out there know where that line came from. A man has to know his limitations, and a woman has to know their limitations. So yes, I would definitely cheer anyone on that wants to make a no-budget project. And the worst case scenario, you don't sell it, it doesn't get out there anywhere, and you have aspirations of being a filmmaker. The way you get better is continuing to shoot and see where your weaknesses are. You're going to learn from each project, and so finish it. I mentioned earlier in another video about a project that fell apart because of some disturbances on the set. But I learned a lot from that. Each project, I honestly can say that each project I've done over my 35 years, I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. And those are the things that really teach you. If you have the ability and you have the openness to look at yourself and say, what have I done wrong? What could I have done better? And don't start pointing the fingers at everybody else, because if you're the director and you're a writer and you're a producer and you're creating a no-budget script, you're at the top. What's that they say? The buck stops here. And you have to face that, because sometimes you'll hire people and it doesn't work out, and you ignore the red flags. And then on set, it doesn't work out. You hire actors and, they start giving these little hints. Oh, I can't make it on Tuesday. I see I'm on the schedule, but maybe I can come on Wednesday between 3:30 and 5:30. And you ignore those red flags. And sometimes you'll have to pause a project. I've done that in the past too. No budget projects. They have to be put on pause and have to be recast. And I've actually made co-producer enemies out of co-producers for pausing projects, because in my early days I would just keep going, even if I knew there were mistakes were being made. But as I grew as a filmmaker and I grew as a director, I had the confidence to stop projects that I knew were going down the wrong track. And you have to do that. If you're the director, you're the producer, this is your project, don't just keep going because you want to get it done. You want it to be the best that it can be. Unless you're making an absurdist comedy and you want to, do an Ed Wood type project, I tell people don't purposely make a bad film, unless that's your idea, and a parody of low budget movies. That can be perfectly well. Some I even watched that I love. I watch films where people make it's an inside joke. The whole film is an inside joke, but don't purposely make something that is bad just because you want to get something made. Fix those mistakes. Even if this is a learning process, make it into a short. It doesn't have to be a feature, especially nowadays with the internet. And you can still show it. You might not make any money off of it, but you're going to learn something. And take the time to look back over your work and critique it. Honestly, I should have done this. I should have done that. Make those hard evaluations of yourself, because you have to examine yourself if you want to continue to get better. So in closing, writing a no-budget script, one of the first things I would say is examine your resources before you start, and find a location or some other resource that the script can be made around, and focus on that. And again, if you don't make money, you're still going to learn something. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.